I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the time that I got in a fight at Walmart. So this video is gonna be in English and Spanish just because the events happen in Spanish. So just bear with me. So my son, I would say, would have been around a year and 6 months. He was still in diapers. And I remember that I went to Walmart and I took my son with me, and all I needed was some wipes and diapers. And it was something just real quick. Like, at this point I was still going through depression after separating with his dad. So you know, I just didn't want to be out of the house for a long period of time. So I just left in the clothes that I was lounging around in, and I went ahead and took off to Walmart. So I had a bad habit before of parking in handicap spaces. So I haven't done it. I know that it was illegal, and I started off wrong to begin with, but anyways, it'll be important later on. So I was getting to Walmart, and so like the doors are right here, and this is the driving, you know, part, and then right here are the parking spaces. Well, there was a lot of people passing by, and I would say maybe about 4 families were passing by, and I waited for all of them to pass by. And as soon as the last person passed the parking spot that I was going to be at, I went ahead and I parked. Well, I have this habit where I stay in my car after I get somewhere, and I, you know, look at my phone and stuff like that and kind of mentally prepare myself for leaving. I was just sitting there. I'd taken off my seatbelt, and I see in my side view mirror that some lady is like making signs at me, and I was like, what? I was like, maybe my you know, trunk is open, my gas tank or something like that. And mind you, I have my son in the back seat. So I open the door and I look at her and I'm like, can I help you? Oh, in Spanish I'm like, disculpa, mande. And she was just like, me dice, ¿qué chingados tienes? Like, querías atropellar a mi hija, that I wanted to run over her daughter. And I was like, what? Like, what reason would I have to run over your daughter? So then I just kind of ignored her and I closed the door, and I was still on my phone, and then I hear that she hits the back of my trunk like with her hands, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. So I open the door and I'm like, can I help you? Like, what reason do I have to try to run over your daughter, you know? And at this point, the way that I was parked, there was a huge lifted truck to the left of me. And so then this lady is like telling me stuff, and I'm here like, can I help you, you know? And so then before I knew it, I went to close the door. Actually, let me rewind. So she's hitting the back of my trunk. I open the door, I ask, what does she need? She's yelling at me. I'm just yelling back at her. I used to fight a lot with my brother when I was younger. So the main way that I would piss off my brother would be to repeat the same things over and over again. So basically in Spanish, I was telling her like, okay, get with it, ponle alam, you know? And I kept repeating it over and over and over and over and over again because I just wanted her to shut up. And so then when I went to close the door, this girl had the audacity to try to punch me. When she punched me, she missed, and she just scratched me under my eye, and basically she grabbed me by my hair and she pulled me out of the car. It was in August, I remember, because it was almost my birthday. And I remember that it was hot. It was really hot, and my son was in the back seat. And so now me and this lady are in between my car and this lifted truck, and she's behind me and she has me bent over, and she is just going at it, right? But she's not really hitting me because I kind of like put myself in like a turtle stance, and she had me by the hair. And so I always remembered from all the men in my life, my dad, my brother, my uncles, never pull hair, because that's one less hand that you have to fight with. So at this point, I had never gotten in a fight before with anybody, so I was kind of like in shock, I guess you can say. And I froze. I didn't do anything. But then I started hearing my son cry in the car, and something just snapped. Like, I went into like mama bear mode, and I just kind of like was like a fight or flight type of thing, and I went ahead and I decided to fight. So at that point, I just started like going off at her. I was punching, I was kicking. I remember I had sandals on and I had lost the sandal, and we were just, you know, fighting. But this lady was a lot bigger than I was, and older than I was, and she was like on me, so I couldn't really at that point do anything. So I went ahead and pulled her hair off of me, and I remember I could feel in my hands her hair being pulled out of her head, and I just remember telling her like, stop, 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 like I'm just here for diapers, like can't you hear my son crying? Like, that was my biggest thing, is I just wanted this to fight. So at that point, somebody calls loss prevention, and loss prevention comes out of Walmart and tries to take this lady off of me, guys. And I kid you not, does she not flip this guy over onto the pavement and is still trying to get at me? So I remember I'm just, you know, punching, I'm kicking, I'm whatever it is that I can do to get this lady off of me. And then by that time, I had a few people that were just, you know, men that were, you know, passing by. They went ahead and they separated us. And I remember at that point, she starts to walk away. And so then I was like, you're not getting away, you know. And at this point, I'm so pissed off. So then I start, I call 911, and I'm walking towards her to see what vehicle she's in, so that if she does decide to try to take off, you know, I'm able to give the police that information. So then she turns around and she's like, do you want more or what? And I'm like, well then quit running away, you know, come here. And so then at that point, she starts to walk towards me, and they went ahead and they separated us. They went ahead and put her under like the little cart roof out of Walmart, and I was just by my car because I had my son in there. And so finally my son stops crying. I call my dad, because at this point I'm living with my dad, and he doesn't answer. I call him again, he doesn't answer. And so then finally the third time I call him, he answers, and he real nonchalant, he's just like, why are you calling me? And then I'm like, this bitch just pulled me out of my hair out of my car. And I don't know if I was talking like too fast. I know I was upset and crying, and he was just like, what? I can't understand what you're saying. And I'm like, this bitch just pulled me out of my car and beat the shit out of me. And so then he's like, where are you at? And I'm like, I'm at Walmart, blah blah blah. So then I hang up, and then as my dad is getting there, the cops are getting there as well. And I'm a type of person that I cry when I'm mad, when I'm happy, when I'm upset. So at this point, I'm so upset about what happened, and the fact that my son just witnessed this, that I am just crying out of frustration. So then I remember that my dad gets there. First thing, my stepmom gets down, she grabs my son, puts him in the car, and the cop is getting here, and I'm just, you know, telling my dad like, this fucking bitch, this blah, 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 you know. And my dad's like, okay, you need to calm down. And I'm like, it's because of her, and I don't know what. And then the lady like sees me pointing at her, and she's like, gay. And I'm like, gay pendeja. And I just like, you know, I'm having a verbal fight with her. And my dad is the type of person that like, he likes to be calm and collected, and I know that I can get in trouble with the police for disturbing the peace, you know, by fighting verbally and stuff like that. So then my dad says, like, if you're not gonna calm down, I'm gonna leave and you're gonna be on your own. And so then at that point I went ahead and I calmed down, and the police come, they take my statement, they take her statement, and then this police officer comes to me and goes like, okay, we're gonna go ahead and give both of you guys a ticket for disturbing the peace. And I was like, no sir, I was in my car, I tried to avoid fighting, like why am I gonna get a ticket? And so then they're like, okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and go into Walmart and we're going to look at the cameras. And I was like, go for it. So this is where it comes very important, the fact that I parked in the handicap parking spot. So when the officer comes back and tells me, okay, we went ahead and we noticed that, you know, you tried to close the door and she did pull you out of the car, is because you parked right under a security camera. So then at that point, this female officer comes to me and goes, okay, I'm gonna ask you a question, do you have any disabilities? And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, because you parked in handicap. And so then I thought I was gonna get a ticket for parking in handicap. So my smart brain, don't lie guys, but I lied and I was like, it's because my son was trying to open the door, so I just parked right away. And she's like, oh no, it's because of your handicap. That's another charge that we would apply to her, because of, you know, if we were handicapped, she was fighting a handicapped person. So I told her, no, I'm not handicapped, I just parked here. And then they were like, okay, would you want to go ahead and file charges? And then at this point, you know, I had to calm down and I was like, of course I want to go ahead and file charges. And so they arrested her. And so then when they arrested her, everybody that was like around us just started clapping. And I was here like, do I laugh? Like, do I, you know? So it made me feel better, the fact that she was getting arrested, that all of this, you know, kind of just didn't happen for nothing. And I remember they were asking me like if I needed an ambulance, and I was like, oh no, I'm perfectly fine. And then I remember they told me, well, it's because you have blood on your hands. And then I was like, oh shit, like she must have knocked me somewhere. So I remember I was checking myself, I was looking in the mirror, and the only thing that I had was just a scratch under my eye. I didn't have anything else. So we came to find out that it was actually her blood on my hands and not my own. So then I was like, no, I don't need to go. And then my dad was like, I think you should, because you know, your adrenaline is running, so you're not feeling anything. And then I'm like, well, there's nothing wrong with me, so if anything, I'm just, you know, gonna have a headache or something. My dad went in, got the wipes, got the diapers, and we left home. I remember at that point, when it was time to go to bed, I fell asleep. I wake up the next morning and literally like this whole area right here and like right here was pounding. It was such a horrible pain, but it was because she had pulled my hair so much that it had irritated my scalp and caused kind of like bumps. But other than that, you know, I was perfectly fine. And then I remember the Monday after, because it had happened on Friday, so she was gonna be booked all weekend, I get a call from not exactly who, but said that she actually had an outstanding warrant, that she was going to be booked for you know, the amount that warrant was for. So I remember I got a call about a month later after that, you know, stating that she had already been released from jail, you know, that if I needed anything. And that kind of brought back the feelings of, you know, what if she tries to look for me at Walmart? What if she's a psychopath and just like waits for me in the parking lot to see when I go, because it was the closest Walmart to me. But ever since then, I haven't had to, you know, I haven't run into her or anything like that. I don't even remember how she looks, what her name is, or anything like that. Yeah, so that's the story about me getting in a fight at Walmart. Not something that I'm proud of, but it wasn't something that I initiated or instigated. I tried to stay in my car and she's the one that pulled me out. So yeah, that's the story. I do have, you know, a couple of other stories that I would like to share about, you know, this issue that I have about freezing, as you guys could tell in this video, where I just froze, that I actually want to talk to you guys to see if I can get a little bit of input. But if you would like to go ahead and see those videos, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Go ahead and press that subscribe button and press that bell so you get notified every time that I post. And I appreciate everything that you guys do for me, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.